And now I want to baste the edges of the quilt. Why would I do that? If I'm going to be stitching a pantograph pattern, I'll be doing that from the back of the machine, and I won't have a direct sight line of the quilt or what's happening up here. So if I'm at the back of the machine and my hopping foot grabs the top of the quilt and something like that happens, where the quilt has folded over on itself, I'd end up stitching that down, and it's highly likely that I'll be jumping up and down and using all kinds of nasty words. So I want to secure the edges of this quilt before I begin the quilting process. How I'm going to do that is just by stitching along the edges. So on the machine I'm using today, it's an APQS Millennium. The handles are all a toggle type switch. I can either push up or I can push down. If I push up and there's a white dot on the handle, if I push up towards that white dot, it's going to drop my needle or raise my needle. And you can see that I am right in the corner of the quilt. The edge of the quilt is lined up with both the side and the back of my hopping foot, so where I'm going to be stitching is approximately 1/4 of an inch in from the edge. So I've dropped my needle there, raised my needle, and I'm going to hold on to my thread tail and move the machine towards myself, and my bobbin thread is going to come up to the surface. I'm going to secure both my thread tails in my left hand, and I'm going to do several up and downs with my handle, creating a little tiny stitch which is going to lock the beginning of my thread path. That way my threads will always stay secure in the quilt and they won't come out in the wash, so to speak. Now, next, I'm going to stitch across the top of the quilt to secure the edges. Watch what I'm doing with my left hand as I move to the right. You'll find when you begin long arm quilting that the hopping foot pushes the fabric in the direction you're moving. So I'm going to try and counteract that with my left hand. I'm pushing down to activate the machine. And do you see how it's not even stitching yet? That's the stitch regulator working for me. I move faster, the stitch regulator stitches faster. So I'm just placing a little bit of pressure off to the left, and that causes all the fabric to the right to lay nice and flat for me. I'm continuing to keep the back of the hopping foot lined up with the outer edge of the quilt. And when I get to this far corner, I just change direction and come towards myself. See how my left hand is now pushing towards the back? Again, I'm preventing the motion of the fabric coming towards myself. I'm going to push down to stop the machine, and again I'm going to finish with some locking stitches. I'm moving the machine ever so slightly to create a true stitch. Stitching up and down in the same spot isn't going to hold. I'm going to move into the body of the quilt, and I'm going to grab that thread tail that I've created, come back to where I left off, drop my needle and raise my needle, and move the machine once more. This is going to bring my bobbin thread up to the surface, and I really want to move the machine at this point to leave myself a nice long thread tail underneath the quilt. It's much easier to find a long thread tail when I begin again than it is to find a tiny little thread tail. Now I have to come back and come down this side. So I'm going to begin in the exact same way. Up in the top corner, drop my needle, raise my needle, bring up my bobbin thread, and yes, I do this every single time. Again, I'm going to push back to counteract the fabric moving forward. And the throat of the machine is right underneath my hand, so I actually have something to push on. I find it easier to come down in small, manageable chunks rather than just zipping right down the side. I find I stay a little bit straighter that way.